intro.
Gather around, boys and girls. We got receiver rankings today. I'm Double A. This is Jay. Let's get into it. Who you got in that top tier?
Seasonal?
Seasonal.
My first tier is Hopkins, McLaurin, Robbie, Diggs, and Hill.
Wow. Robbie and McLaurin in that top tier. That's really high.
Well, where did Robbie end up last year?
Robbie was 23rd.
Where did Terry end up last year?
20th.
Let me build the case for the Carolina Panthers as a whole. Okay? Because if they do better as a team, that's going to help everyone involved.
Yeah.
They got Bouye and they got Horn. So those two corners, I would say their defense is going to get better. They now have two elite corners. Their defense was already pretty solid. But they did struggle in stopping the pass. Those two acquisitions, it's going to help their team.
Mm-hmm.
They also got McCaffrey. Okay?
Yeah.
So McCaffrey missed pretty much the whole year.
Pretty much.
So he's going to help them out a little bit.
Little.
Because he's amazing.
Good amount.
Okay. Do you think Sam Darnold is better or worse than Teddy Bridgewater?
Oh, he's better.
Okay, and he's going to reunite with his old wide receiver, Robbie, who had his career year with him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think they're going to score more, and I think that will directly impact Robbie Anderson because the yards aren't going anywhere. If anything, he's going to get more fantasy points because his yards are now long. You get bonuses for long or over 100 yards. Well, Robbie and Sam have a history of 99-yard touchdown, things like that. So I think it's pretty easy to say Robbie Anderson will definitely do better than he did last year. How much better? I project he's going to be in the top tier. Maybe 3's too high.
I think
But he is among the top tier receivers. He's in his prime. He's on an offense that's going to be remarkably better as a whole. And I think he's going to be the most beneficial. I said this last year. DJ Moore does not quite fit the system. Robbie does.
I mean, he fits it better, but they're both very good talents. Robbie, I mean, I agree with the whole team. I think that it's going to be a good team all around, and Robbie should do good. But arguably, he kind of had his best season last year. In his career, he had 95 catches, which is almost double what he had. He had 63 in New York, which, I mean, that was the most at one point. But he got over 1,000 yards, but he only had 3 touchdowns. The most he had with the Jets was 7 touchdowns, and that was for 941 yards and 63 catches off of the 111 targets.
Are you saying Adam Gase is no good?
Oh, I've been saying that.
Oh, okay. So I'm just assuming that Robbie Anderson did better on just that. The quarterback was worse.
No, I'm saying with Carolina.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The quarterback was worse, yet he was more productive.
Yeah.
Because of the system. Sam Darnold comes from that system. It doesn't come from, but he has more experience with that system. Okay? He will be better. I don't
think he'll have more targets. 134 is a lot.
But his targets will be further downfield.
He has a better arm. Yeah, he had 95 catches. So I could see him getting about 95, 100 catches, 1,300 yards. The touchdowns is the question. Does he get more than 5?
I think he can get double digits.
If he gets double digits, then he's close to that 3. I'm not sure if he reaches that. That's his absolute height, I think. But that he could.
If you guys listen to the podcast, you know I'm not afraid to say what I believe. Sometimes, not all the time, I'm accurate. I mean, that's fair enough to say.
I mean, I think Robbie's going to absolutely have a good year.
You know, last year I said I wouldn't draft A.J. Green at all. I didn't like T.Y. Hilton at all. I liked Chase Claypool. And nobody cared about these things. I was crazy. Well, I was correct. So I believe Robbie Anderson's going to get more touchdowns and more yards. The targets will stay about the same, but the yards will go up because his acquisition of catches will be further downfield. His touchdowns will go up because their team as a whole will be better. Now, the only thing that I will say with a little asterisk or caveat is maybe McCaffrey eats those. There's a chance McCaffrey gets those extra touchdowns. I believe as a whole, Carolina will score more points.
Yeah.
I'm projecting Robbie to get more touchdowns, but there's a chance McCaffrey could eat those touchdowns.
He could. I mean, Moore could potentially eat more, too, if he connects with Darnold a little more. It seems like they're being a little shaky in camp right now, but it'll probably work out in the season. He's still going to be a target of his.
Yeah, and I mean, Carolina does have the 6th easiest schedule for wide receivers.
That's nice.
So it's going to help. I think Robbie is good enough talent that he can combat good corners. So
yeah.
And let's move to Terry. Terry
Yeah.
McLaurin. Last year, he handed him 20. They had a merry-go-round quarterback. Their team didn't really have an identity. We didn't really know if Gibson was the guy. We didn't really know a lot. There was a lot of questions on the team. By the end of the year, we had a pretty good indication. Now, last year was Terry McLaurin's second year in the league. Most wide receivers take 3 years. That third year, they take off. Most wide receivers have poor rookie seasons. Now, there are some that have good ones. CeeDee Lamb had a good one. Chase Claypool had a good one. That is an indication that they're further along.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin was a borderline wide receiver 1 his rookie year. He regressed a little last year, but still had...
He had a better year last year.
He had a better year, but his percentage of catches was down.
I guess he had more catches, but percentage, yeah.
The percentage was down because the targets weren't as good.
His touchdowns were down.
And I directly complained that it was the quarterback.
It was partly, yeah.
They haven't had a decent starting quarterback since McLaurin was drafted. Fitzmagic can support a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. He's done it most of his career.
Yeah.
I think McLaurin being the only elite option at receiving, his percentage is going to increase. And if that percentage increases, it's going to give him more yards.
His targets, I think they'll be similar to what he had last year. But his catches should be a little more.
But Fitzmagic throws like Brett Favre. He goes for it.
Yeah, that's why I like him.
McLaurin has the ability to get it.
Yeah.
So I think those two are going to be the storyline of the entire season. And I could be wrong. But McLaurin's ADP is late in the third round.
If you believe that highly in him, yeah. I have him down at 13, which is about right there at the end of the third, mid-third. He'll do better than last year. He finished 20th. I see him at 13th, him with Fitzpatrick, but they got more weapons than they did last year. Last year, they didn't have anybody. This year, they got Curtis Samuel. They drafted De'Ami Brown. I like Antonio Gandy-Golden. I don't think he'll take much from Terry, but they have other options.
Yeah, he did just fine when he was the only option. So anybody else...
He did. That's why I think he'll be good.
I think just makes him better.
It's just that's high.
This is what I'm thinking. Tyreek Hill, good chance he gets hurt or he breaks his kid's face and he can't play.
He could, but it's seasonal. That's why I don't have him ranked, or I guess I do have him ranked fairly high in Dynasty. Maybe a little too high.
Yeah, I do too. But I'm just saying, there's risk with Hill. He's a boom-bust player. There are games where he puts up 0. He's not a high...
Like 1.
He's not a high-volume guy. Usually takes 2-3 catches. It's usually a 90-yard touchdown.
Yeah, and he usually gets it most games. That's why he's up here this high.
And sometimes he gets hurt.
He's pretty consistent with it.
Sometimes he gets hurt and he doesn't play. Okay? Diggs, Anderson, McLaurin, and Hopkins are all above them because they are going to catch. They're going to catch a lot of passes. They have a safe floor, especially in PPR.
Yeah.
Okay? Now...
That's PPR. This is half PPR.
Now, Diggs has got, in my opinion, he was overshadowed. Last year, he over produced. He's going to regress. Stephon Diggs is not a touchdown guy. He just got a lot of touchdowns.
He only had 8.
Yeah, that's more than he should have.
I think that'll be his average.
How many?
If anything, his catches might go down a little and his yards might go down a little. But I see him getting about 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin, Robbie Anderson, Stephon Diggs are all similar players, as in they catch the ball, they get yards. They get a lot of catches and a lot of yards. Okay? Hopkins does both. Gets a lot of catches, a lot of yards, and a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's why he's number 1. In my opinion, he's still number 1.
I have him 3rd, but he's in that tier. Like, you just can't deny him. He's an elite guy. You just put him there every single week. But I have Diggs, Hill, Hopkins, and Ridley in that top tier. For me, Diggs, I think he's number 1 this year.
I have Diggs in the top tier. I just have him 4th. I think he's going to regress. I don't know how much. I don't think he's going to regress a lot. It's just, I need to see Josh Allen do it again.
Even if his targets go down a little bit, his catches can still be about the same. His yards might go down, but his touchdowns, if that goes up, and it might, then he's going to move up into that number 1, I think.
All of these guys are top tier for a reason.
Yeah.
We're kind of splitting hairs, except for Robbie Anderson. You don't have him.
I don't have him in this tier. I have him at 11 in the next tier.
With McLaurin?
Yeah, with McLaurin.
Ridley. I have Ridley down at 8.
I mean, he finished 4th last year. You get rid of Julio Jones, then you add Pitts, who's now a weapon that people kind of have to cover. So he's not taking necessarily 100%, but he's still getting the main guy. I think he can finish close to 4th with increased volume and maybe less efficiency.
It's hard to say because Ridley got most of his stuff, and I'll get to what's about to come. He got most of his stuff because Julio was there. He was the second option. He had better coverage.
Yeah.
Say it. Go ahead, say it.
Even when Julio missed, he still did good.
Okay. Now, how much time did Julio miss?
So he missed 7 games.
So he missed about half the season, right?
Yeah.
Well, then the argument saying that you get rid of Julio Jones shouldn't necessarily matter.
Yeah.
Because he played a majority without him anyway.
That's why I have him at the same spot he finished last year.
Right. Now, I like Calvin Ridley. I have him in 8. I have him in that second tier because I don't know what the Falcons are going to be able to do. Literally the only reason that anybody on the Atlanta Falcons have good fantasy seasons is because their defense is so atrocious. They're on the field all the time, and they have to catch up by 20 points.
The defense looks a little bit better this year, but I still question it until I see it.
So what I'm saying is I don't know
what's
going to happen. I like him. I want him on my team. I think he's at second tier. It's just they're reliant on being a bad defense and Matt Ryan not being old.
Being on a bad defense.
As soon as Matt Ryan loses that arm speed, like Big Ben, it's a really quick downfill.
I think he's fine for now.
Because Calvin Ridley's not a big-bodied guy. He's not a guy that you could just throw a safe ball up in the air to. That's going to turn into Pitts.
Yeah.
And I think Pitts is not going to be able to walk right in and be good. So there's going to be plenty of time for Ridley to get his.
I think he'll have his matchups and he'll be able to do okay.
It's hard for a tight end to come right in. I think he'll be a little quicker than most.
It's just he's not an ordinary tight end. That's why I think he'll be a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I like Ridley this year. I have him 8th overall. I'm a little hesitant on Dynasty because I don't know what's going to happen without Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I have him lower in Dynasty.
I have him at 8 as well.
7.
So I have him the same.
I mean, we got power rankings coming soon, and I went through the Falcons, still tweaking a little bit, but I only have them winning 5 games this year. So let's go on to that second tier.
That second tier seasonal?
Second tier seasonal.
Go ahead and spit them out.
All right, well, I got Justin Jefferson at the top of this tier. He was 7th last year. I haven't finished in 5th this year. I like him to lead over Thielen this year. I think he's just that good. He just keeps getting better. Too. Yeah, it's whether or not Kirk Cousins can keep up with him, I think. But he's also fighting Dalvin Cook. If Dalvin Cook wasn't there, I'd probably have him higher. They'd be more relying on him. But after that, I got Allen Robinson, A.J. Brown, Michael Thomas, Woods, Metcalf, Robbie Anderson.
I have a lot of the same people. I also have Devontae Adams. I also have Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I left Devontae Adams out. I put him in the 3rd tier. But that's under the assumption I don't think Rodgers plays for the Packers.
I'm pretty sure he'll play for the Packers. So I like this because there's a lot of people who are split on this, and all of our rankings have dictated both sides of the spectrum. I think he'll play. I think Devontae will be fine. I have Devontae right there at the top, just underneath Justin Jefferson. Last year when we were coming out, analytically speaking, Justin Jefferson was the best receiver in the class.
Oh, yeah.
CD got the most hype, and he is really good. We had nothing bad to say about him, but I think Justin Jefferson's fine. I think if he will continue to be fine his whole career.
Yeah, solid pick.
It's just I like Cortland Sutton, and I have him in this tier because, and I've said this a few times before, I project Denver to have such a big year this year that Cortland Sutton, I've statted out over 13 touchdowns.
That's pretty good if you can get that.
He's a big-bodied guy. He can muscle you. They're going to move the ball with Javonte, with all their weapons they have.
But that's the thing. They have a lot of weapons.
And they have a pretty easy schedule. Now, not necessarily for wide receivers, but like I said, Cortland can be... He's one of those guys stands in the end zone, like a Julio Jones, throw it up in the air, and he jumps up and catches it. I think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns this year, and it's going to really pad his numbers. Maybe not moving forward in a dynasty, but this year, I think Sutton's going to have a good year.
I am higher in Dynasty than I do in seasonal. I mean, I'm probably kind of low on him. I have him at 27. I think I like the Broncos. I think they'll do good, but I think it's going to be spread out a lot. I mean, I could move him up a little bit, but it's just I want to see more coming off of that injury. Because they still got Noah Fant there. They got Jerry Jeudy. They had Javonte.
Yeah, he's just the only one that can do what he can do.
How far of a step can Drew Lock take?
Yeah, he's just the only type of receiver that's doing what he can do. Everybody else is kind of a thin-bodied, elusive, get open in space receiver. He's more of that big body. I'm going to jump up in the air and catch it. The only thing else we could talk about here is Allen Robinson. I have him down at 15 in my third tier.
I think he's going to do just fine.
I see. The Bears have a rookie quarterback.
He's not going to start. I don't think he'll start in the first few weeks. I think it's going to be Dalton.
I don't think Dalton's any good.
I think he's better than what they had last year.
I think he's literally the same as Trubisky.
He's better than Trubisky. He showed that with the Cowboys.
You were all over Trubisky's nuts, man. What happened?
And he failed. he failed. I got to move on. I got to move past it.
I don't like Dalton. I don't think Dalton can support Allen Robinson being a wide receiver one.
If the combination of Nick Foles and Trubisky did, I'm confident Dalton will be able to do that. He finished 11th last year. I think he can do better this year. And if Fields takes over, I think that adds another layer that defense has to cover in his running ability that they didn't really have before. And that only helps Robinson. And they have a better line.
I think when Fields is there, when he is ready, Allen Robinson will be fine. But he's a rookie. And I don't know if he can do it this year. I don't know if he can do it next year.
I didn't like him in the draft.
I think he's all right.
I'm not sure if he can do it.
I think he's all right. I just think he needs time.
He definitely does need time.
And I don't know if Allen Robinson can be supported. And by the time he actually becomes a starting good quarterback, Allen Robinson might not even be on the team.
He might not. I think he's on the franchise this year. Yes. I mean, he had 150 targets last year, 150 targets the year before that, 100 catches about, give or take 2 each year. I mean, he should get about the same this year. It's not like they have anybody else that they're going to throw to. He should get more catches, I would imagine, better quality targets. And the touchdowns, they should go up. He had 6 last year, 7 the year before that. I think he'll have close to double digit.
Let's move over to Dynasty.
That top tier?
That top tier.
All right. Number 1, I got Justin Jefferson.
I do too.
All right. A.J. Brown's my number 2.
I have him there too.
All right. Got you. Get him there high. Tyreek Hill is number 3, and I feel high on that.
I have him at 4.
Okay.
So Tyreek Hill is a rare specimen of length and speed on a team that can throw the ball 100 yards.
Yeah.
So I don't think you really have a choice.
Yeah, he's there as long as he stays there. I mean, that's the thing, though. He's kind of a question mark because he could just not play, whether it be because of something off field or on the field with an injury, because speed will go the fastest.
My question is, I have DK Metcalf underneath Tyreek Hill for a lot of the same reasons as Tyreek Hill. But as soon as Russell Wilson came out and said he never asked for a trade and he never wanted to leave, I thought, okay, maybe that's true. If that is true, he is a rare specimen that is tall and fast with a team that likes to throw it deep.
They like to.
But
they really just want to run the ball.
You can't really compete at wide receiver unless you have that criteria. Now, there's risk with Tyreek Hill missing games. There's risk with DK Metcalf, on that team. I think Russell Wilson's fine, but if Russell Wilson's not there, he drops off a cliff.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
But I have Devontae Adams 3rd.
I have Devontae Adams 10th.
Now,
I think he is an elite talent, but he is a little older, and I don't think Rodgers stays there more than after this year. Even if he does come back, I think he's gone.
I agree. But like I said 3 months ago, I think when Aaron Rodgers leaves, he's taking Devontae Adams with him.
If he does, then I'll put him up higher. But because
this is the last year Devontae Adams has on his contract. That's why I believe Aaron Rodgers will play this year. He'll play for the Packers. And when Aaron leaves, it's going to be with Devontae, and they're going to go as a combo to another team. So If you don't believe that, take him off this third, because that's the only reason why he's this high. Because I believe he's going to stay with Aaron Rodgers.
If that's what you believe, then all right, I could see him that high. I might put him a little higher, but I don't see him playing with Rodgers.
What about at tier 2?
Tier 2, that's where I got Metcalf at the top of that. I got Ridley, Michael Thomas, Devontae, McLaurin, then DJ Moore.
Okay. I have McLaurin, Ridley, CeeDee Lamb, Diggs, and Sutton.
CeeDee Lamb. I have him just on that third tier. Him and Chase on the top of that.
That's pretty high for Jamar Chase. I have Jamar Chase 22.
I have him at 12.
But the reason I have CeeDee Lamb at 9 is he's the best receiver there. He had 1,000 yards, or no, he had 980 or something. He was close to it. He was close to 1,000 yards without their quarterback. They get their quarterback. They get his rookie year.
8-9 games.
I'm just saying his rookie year got almost 1,000 yards. That's a good indication that he's elite. They get his quarterback back. And every year moving forward, I think you're going to see a separation from the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott. And they're going to become more and more dependent on passing, which means his volume is going to increase more and more throughout the years.
It should. And I believe Gallup, this is probably his last year. I think he's gone after this year. So, but he still kind of beat him out. He had over 100 targets. He had 74 catches, 900 yards.
It depends. I can see them keeping Gallup and moving on from...
I think they're going to keep Cooper. They could get rid of him after
money.
He's signed though for I believe 4 years. I don't remember his contract.
Yeah, he is signed for he'd signed for 4 years, but I believe if you look at the contract after 2, they can get out of that
this
contract.
year, next year, and then they can get out of it.
Right. With Cooper,
but Gallup, you're gonna keep him that longer?
Gallup's younger.
Is he than CeeDee? Or I guess Cooper.
Cooper.
But that's not a big deal because you got CeeDee.
I think they want 2 receivers. Whatever 2 they pick, it doesn't matter because I believe CeeDee Lamb is going to be the prime breadwinner in that offense.
Yeah, he's signed through 2024. The dead cap's only 6 at 2022. So that's when they get rid of him. They get rid of him next year.
Right.
Next year. All right. So, I mean, if you want to get rid of him, you keep Gallup. But Cooper, I mean, he's way above Gallup to me.
Yeah. It depends on 2 things. It depends on their finances and it depends on the progression of CeeDee Lamb. I know that they want 2 receivers. So obviously CeeDee Lamb's going to be one of those receivers.
Yeah.
So that's why I have him that high. He's the security in that team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Dynasty, if you want to move down to Tier 3, this is where I have a large group. I have a large group.
Yeah, it gets bigger as you go down.
So basically I have 2 tiers in the top 11. My third tier starts at 12 and it goes all the way to 26. Because they all have some potential.
Mine goes to 20.
They all have some potential, and then they all have some risk, or they're older. Like Robert Woods is in this tier. He's an older guy, but he will produce high quality.
I actually have Robert Woods pretty low at 34 in the 5th tier.
Well, with Stafford there, I think he's better than he ever was.
Yeah, but I mean, that's probably a little low. Yeah. I have Robbie Anderson pretty low. I have him down at 33 in Dynasty.
So you got Keenan Allen, you got some of these older guys who are good, consistent people you could fill out your roster with. And then mixed in, I have some of these younger guys that have a lot of upside, like Brandon Ayuk, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Claypool. So this third tier is kind of the bread and butter. If it's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You want consistency with a time frame, or do you want potential that's not there yet?